I'm going to make an assumption here. And back in the day when Cummins sold this package to whoever to upgrade their delivery vans or bread trucks, it was the whole kit and caboodle. It was the engine with the bell housing adapter to go to the factory drivetrain, and then they also took care of bracketry for the intercooler and radiator as well. So when I'd bought this, I got very fortunate that not only did I get the engine and then the bell housing adapter to the Ford 4-speed, I'd also got my cooling package bracketry as well. This sets on top of the frame rails very nicely. This spacing here matches on the passenger side. So I believe what I'm going to do is weld this bracket to the frame on the bottom. And then as far as the top goes, I'm going to fabricate a bracket for my radiator support to match up with not only my cooling package bracket, but then also my radiator as well. So it'll be one long bolt that goes through here. My charge air cooler I'll line up and bolt it there. And then down on the bottom, it's got a bolt and a rubber isolator. That's how we're going to take care of the cooling package. And along with this, I'd also got the tubing and everything. So charge air tubing, if I get the spacing right, it's all going to fit along with upper and lower radiator hoses. The only thing that might change everything is if I go ahead and flip my manifold, but we'll talk about that later. Right now I just want to focus on getting this in the truck so it doesn't sound so doggy. When you guys heard it in the previous video, obviously turbo wasn't hooked up, but then I also didn't have my accelerator hooked up either. I'm not real sure how I'm going to take care of this, because Ford back there, you can see my accelerator bracket right there would have gone up between the valley on the V8 and hooked up to the carburetor. So I'm going to have to do something there to get it out here driver's side to get to my VE pump. So hang tight and we'll see what we can do. Okay, we got the downpipe from the back of the turbo exhaust side. We have got from the charge air to the intake manifold. We've got our lower radiator hose, I believe that's what this is. And then we've got from the turbo to the intercooler. And then we've also got the air cleaner on the turbo. So let's see if we can't get all this stuff installed. We've got our support temporarily in place. So now we're just gonna get the radiator in, intercooler in, mock up all the piping, and make sure that we like where it is before we finalize everything. Here we go. Exhaust is in. We had to cut that body seam there, and then we took a ball peen to the exhaust just to give us a bit more clearance. But it is in now, and it comes down. So that's a little below the frame. Luckily, we've got all kinds of room so that we can actually cut that and then move the 90 up on the inside of the frame rail, and that will line up with the exhaust that was under the truck. So that's convenient. Okay, so hopefully you guys are getting tired of seeing all of our temporary setups, but I'd really like to just make sure this is going to run and drive the way I want it to before everything gets super finalized. As I was welding in the bracket, I ran out of shielding gas, so I need to redo this. I didn't have any shield core wire either, but had to take like 8 inches out of the tube here to get it to line up the way I wanted it to, and then had to clock the turbo, the compressor side here, up a little bit. I was hitting the fender well, and I really didn't want to cut out the inner fender well there. I need to cock it up just a little bit more because I don't want anything rubbing, but this is where it is for now. This is the intake assembly, the filter assembly that come with what I bought. Don't know if I like it again, but hey, it's what we have, and at least we're filtering our intake air at this time. The lower radiator hose, there's springs in there, so it's not going to kink on me, but again, that needs to be cleaned up a little bit. It's what we had. Obviously the return line for the fuel, our intake, the other end of the intercooler there, so it sits right above our fill tube. And I know on the 4B that we did in our CJ7, it had a little stubby fill tube, so I may try to find that, or I may just swap it out, because in the 4B on the Jeep, there's nothing running up here. It's not intercooled, so I could just swap it out and not have a problem. We've got our water temp hooked up now so we can monitor it, and then we've got our oil pressure hooked up down here so we can monitor that. I still need to loop the power steering pump. There's talk of redoing the front end, so I'm going to leave that and then just loop it and put some fluid in there so we don't mess it up. But I'm going to try to clean it up a little bit, and we'll check back in. All right, so anybody watching this that's doing the swap, and then anybody watching this that has done the swap, maybe we can all get some information shared here so we're on the same page. That in this 72 Ford is the accelerator linkage that comes from the pedal through the firewall, and then it would have gone between the valley of the V8, the 302 that was in here, to the carburetor linkage for your accelerator. So what I had to do was down about there, I'd got a torch to it, heated it up, and bent it driver's side so that would clear the engine, and I could get a temporary linkage hooked up so I could give it a little bit of throttle when I needed to. What I'm going to do, I believe, is I'm going to order just a brand new throttle, gas pedal and throttle cable. They've got them in, I believe it's the like a 2001 Dodge would have something like that, and that's what I'm going to use, so that I've got the throttle pedal and then just a cable that I can bring in over to my VE pump. So anybody doing this swap, be sure to understand that you're going to have to modify your accelerator pedal a little bit. Well, it runs, it drives. We haven't got it out on the road yet. I did notice I've got a U-joint that looks a little funny, so I'd like to replace that before I go and get real crazy on the asphalt with it. So everything looks good. The only thing, so I'd posted on Facebook and asked, should I flip the manifold and have the turbo sticking out through the hood and all that good stuff? And everybody said, don't cut the hood up, dump it down through the back. So I went ahead and dumped it down through the back, had to cut that seam and everything. I think I'm gonna include that in here. But the one thing that I didn't take into account for was these cooler tubes. So I'm gonna have to cut the hood anyway, but maybe I can do something that's gonna look a little nicer than having a turbo something stick out. But I'm gonna show you now the tube there. And then the tube there. When we go to close this sucker, let's see if we can get a good look down there. You can kind of see where we're gonna have to cut it. So we're gonna end it for this week here, and hopefully here in the next week I'll get this cut. Alrighty guys, as always, thanks for taking the time to check out our video today. We sure appreciate your time. Like, subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave those. We'll get back to you just as soon as we can. And like I said in the previous video, this is my brother's truck that we're working on. He's basic training for the Army. Tommy, if you're checking in this week, man, hey, hope you like what's going on. Hope you're doing all right, and we can't wait to see when you get back.